Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Wednesday afternoon here on Kobold Press. I am your littlest red dot, and I am joined today by a fresh face, one that maybe you've not seen on this channel before, but it is one you are going to come to know very, very well. I want to welcome Kendo to the channel. Kendrick, thanks for joining us. I am excited to tell everybody why you're here, but I don't want to spoil it yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we don't have to spoil it. We can keep that in our pocket.
Yeah, we're going to keep it in our pocket. Y'all are going to have to stick around to get all the spoilers. But yes, Kendrick has come on and is now an official Kobold. Let's say over the last few months, we've been in the height of Tales of the Valiant. And when I stepped up into the marketing director position, there was nobody to come on and do this for us. And so we brought on our dear friend, Eric Frankhouse, who lifted us up during our Tales of the Valiant marathon run through the summer. And now we are excited to say that we have found us position full-time for a new media production manager, and Kendrick is going to be joining us for that position full-time permanently here in the Warren. So everybody welcome Kendrick to Kobold Press.
Thank you so much. I truly cannot find the words to say how excited I am to get to know a lot of you, but also just to be here in general. I love Kobold Press. Tome of Beast 1 was my first non-official D&D, or not specifically D&D, obviously,
right?
But first supplemental material that I ever
Ooh,
bought.
That makes my heart warm.
Look at me now. Look, dreams can come true, you know?
Yeah, dreams really do come true here in the Warrens. Well, I thought today, we got a lot of announcements, we're going to get to them, but today we're going to spend some time with Kendrick and actually get to know you, ask you a few questions, maybe learn a little bit more about that first supplemental book, and that means all of you in chat are going to get to ask him some questions too. You're going to be spending a lot of time with Kendrick here on Kobold Chats, on our videos over on YouTube, and now our TikTok, in fact. So, you want to make sure you get familiar, get to know him, get the nitty-gritty, the truth of the matter, as some might say. So we're going to dive into that today. But before we do have to spill some beans, as I like to say. Those beans are announcement beans today. And oh boy, we've got a massive list, everybody. But I think we're going to have to start with the most important thing, which is you have actually, I think, less than 4 hours now left on the Castles and Crowns Kickstarter. I actually think we've hit the 3-hour mark. I'm going to update that because that is out of date when I got this ready an hour ago. It is actually 3 hours left on the Campaign Builder Castles and Crowns Kickstarter. I can say today we actually did make the $250,000 mark on this book, which means we blew it out of the water for what we even remotely expected for this project. If you've been watching here on the channel or you've been keeping tabs on Kobold Press, we are, I don't know, we're just so excited, through the roof excited. So for all of you that haven't picked up your crown and joined us on that Kickstarter, you have exactly 3 hours left to do it. If you're watching this over on YouTube after, I'm so sorry. But don't fret, in just a few days, we usually will announce pre-orders, and you can jump on the pre-order train and still get your order in before we send this book out to publish. So thanks to everybody that has backed, and if you're still considering it, I don't know, what do you want me to say to convince you? You let me know in chat. Tell me. As long as it's PG-13, I'll say it on but for real, please go back to Kickstarter. It's going to be great. And if you don't know anything about the Campaign Builder series, this is actually our second book in it. This is the first time we're turning it into, I guess you could say, a series. So you can probably expect, I don't know, more Campaign Builder books down the line. But Castles and Crowns is a toolkit, really, for game masters and players to have everything that they need to dive deep into the world building of the regal realm, if you would. Castles, political aspects of gameplay, things that sometimes campaigns just don't dive into, but maybe your player wants to come from royalty, or they want to have a lineage of noble birth. These are the things, this book has all the things that you need to make that a reality, and over the last few weeks, we've built Regal Rulers with all of you. We've put out Kingdom ad-libs. The Free Kingdom character sheet is out there. So there is all kinds of ways for you to get to take a peek at this book, including a 13-page free PDF to give you a little bit of a taste of what you might find in this book in the final product. So head on over to Kickstarter and you can look that up, Campaign Builder Castles and Crowns, or you can click that swanky link right there in chat, and it'll take you over there. And actually, just for funsies, I'm actually going to take us, for fun, let's come over here and let's actually take a quick look here. The number is consistently going up, and that's just blowing my mind. But 3 hours to go, everybody. We have, like, blown our $30,000 goal out of the water. You can watch this very cool trailer if you want to know a little bit more. But we've unlocked some serious stretch goals. Let's just take a look really quick. So other than the fact that there is a map folio, if you didn't know, and that map folio has front and back, fold out, dry erase marker, like, top of the line, full table sized map folio of all kinds of things you're going to find for Castles and Crowns. We've also provided you isotopic maps. Look at this beautiful map up here. This is actually one of the maps you're going to get in the book and gives you a more kind of three-dimensional view. So we're giving you some new map options as well. But we have unlocked a slew of different things. You know, the thing I think I'm actually most excited about is one of the ones we just unlocked, which is the Principality of Hell Kingdom, which is written by Wolfgang Bauer. So our dear Kobold in Chief is writing the Principality of Hell. And I am very excited to say I look forward to really seeing what that's going to look like. But we've got some courtly heritages being added. So for all of you TOV fans, we are going to have, this book is technically 5e and TOV compatible. It's a bit more, I wouldn't say completely, but mostly system agnostic. Lots of rolling tables, lots of things that aren't specific to a system. But we are going to be putting in 10 courtly heritages that are built for TOV. So for all of you that have seen us through the TOV, we've got a little extra some things that are going in here. And we, of course, have just unlocked, at the $250,000 mark, 10 noble adventure hooks. So for all of you GMs out there that are constantly like, I need a prompt, or my players never go for what I want. Well, we've got 20 of them. They've got to go for at least one of the 20, no doubt. So we got your back. We've got you here, and we're going to make sure you have what you need. So check it out. Go on over. You can head to Kickstarter and jump on the literal last 3-hour train to Castle and Crown Heaven. So there you have it, everybody. Now, I have some more announcements. That's like the most time-oriented announcement that I have. But for all of you that back our Kickstarters, you know, back in January, before TOV, we had our biggest Kickstarter to date. It's not anymore. Unfortunately, it's number 2, but no less important for us, which was Deep Magic 2. For all of our fans of Deep Magic 1, we came out with the second magic book, all the magical 5e spells that you can possibly, like, shake a stick at, and we decided to go ahead and remaster Deep Magic 1 to go along with it, and put them in a swanky box set. Well, for all of you that backed that Kickstarter, guess what? It's out now. It's being shipped. Your books are in the mail. So you can actually get Deep Magic 1 and Deep Magic 2 now. If you did not back the Kickstarter and you had questions about it, were you ready for it? Maybe the pocketbook wasn't quite as full to be able to support it. That's okay. Now you can actually go get it over on the store. That includes PDFs, and our VTT support is fast approaching as well. So if you backed and got VTT support, or you're waiting for that Roll20, that Foundry, it's coming, so just stick with us. But for those of you that backed the Kickstarter, you'll be able to see all the announcements and all the updates regarding that, and Deep Magic 1 and Deep Magic 2 box sets with their swanky slipcase. They're coming, everybody, if you don't already have it in your hand. Woo! I see y'all are very excited about that. Y'all are very excited about the Deep Magic business. Now, that's not all I have to announce. For the last few weeks, we have been running a giveaway for some t-shirts because we did a pretty cool thing. I mean, kobolds are known for doing cool stuff, but this is probably one of the coolest things we're doing with TOV, in my humble Dotly opinion, which is that we have designed icons for every class. Like a definitive, distinctive logo, an icon for each class. And we revealed the first 4 icons, which were the Druid, the Ranger, the Cleric, and the Fighter. And we decided what better place to put those swanky icons than t-shirts. And we were going to do a t-shirt giveaway. We have, in fact, drawn our 2 t-shirt winners. here they are. So congrats to Paul and Jeremy. Paul and Jeremy are our winners. If you entered that, don't fret, we're going to have more. And I thought, just for funsies, why not show you actually what these look like? So our first 4 came out. Here's our druid. Look how cool. I'm sorry, the druid one's the coolest. Fight me.
It's really
about
good.
It. I'm sorry,
really
just fight me
good.
about it. Like, it's so cool. Look at that. But the ranger is, and the cleric also. I'm not even a big cleric fan, but the cleric one's pretty cool. So we've got the druid, ranger, cleric, fighter options. If you are our winners are going to get to choose one of these icons to put on a t-shirt that they're going to get for free. And obviously, this is not all the classes that are going to be available when TOV is done. So we're going to be rolling out more icons for more classes as we get close to the book launch and doing more giveaways. So you need to make sure to follow us on social, hit up that Discord, and make sure you are in the know so you don't miss when the next giveaway is. Let's see. What else did I have? So t-shirt giveaways. If you haven't been contacted, check your email. I believe Zach has reached out and we want to get all your information, Paul and Jeremy, so we can get your t-shirt sizes and get your t-shirts in the mail. I don't know if y'all knew, but it's spoopy season. Did you know that, Kendrick?
I did. Honestly, it's my favorite season.
Me too!
I can feel it in my bones every time it gets close.
I don't know if I can show y'all. I'm wearing my spoopy pants today, my like Beetlejuice pants. Let's see. Can I?
Ooh. Oh, yeah.
Y'all got a little leg today on Kobold Press. Yeah, I've got my black spoopy pinstripe pants on because it is, in fact, the spoopiest month of the year. It is October, everybody. And what kobolds would we be if we didn't actually celebrate the spoopy season? So we've got a very special Halloween sale running through the month of October for you. Yay! Well, what does it include? Well, all kinds of stuff. Each week, we're going to have new stuff on sale. So you got to check the website each week of October. This week actually has one of my favorite adventures and PDFs that Kobold Press has ever written. Ever. Like, of all the things we've put out, it's probably in the top 5 for Dot. And it's just an adventure, but it's not just an adventure. It's like the greatest adventure. Okay. It's called Rise of the Mimic Moon. Oh, yes. Rise of the Mimic Moon. And it's just what you think, Kendo. It is just what you think.
The moon's a mimic?
It is.
That's pretty good.
That's
pretty good. That's pretty good.
And it's seeking its child, which adventurers have brought to whatever plane, planet, world that your players are playing in and hidden it. And the moon shows up in atmosphere and causes, like, earth-shaking changes. Rains mimics down from the sky like asteroids. Y'all, it is one of my favorite adventures.
Well, now I gotta run it.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. We did a one-shot of it here on the channel before. It is... rains down mimics in various sizes. Y'all, it's great. And one of the things I really love about it, too, is it gives the GM options because, mimics tend to be very specifically focused on the item in which they mimic. So we build them like individual monster stat blocks. Well, now we've given you stat blocks that could be... you can create your own mimics from. So, like, mimics that would be, oh gosh, I gotta remember what's in the PDF. I feel like there's, like, a liquid mimic, right? So maybe you are juice, or water, or milk, or a jug of beer, or whatever. Like, you can be various
it's like
things.
More like broad, like
it's more broad, so you can create your own mimics from what's in the... Y'all, it's on sale right now, 20% off, over on the website. Go get it, along with a lineup of some of our scariest horror warlock lineup. So... that's what's on sale this week. I'm not going to spoil what's on sale next week because you have to go to the website and find out. That's how it goes. Actually, Kendrick will probably spoil it next week because Kendrick is taking over the channel next week. So Kendrick can spoil it for you next week. But you can head on over to the Kobold Press website and you can find out a little bit more about what's on sale for our Halloween sale at the moment. Now... we love to put out PDFs. It's like the Kobold Press way. We started putting out PDFs, almost 18 years ago. And who are we to deny our PDF digital lovers their PDFs? So our newest PDF out, if all of this is not enough, is called On the Shoulders of Giants. And it is out now over on the Kobold Press store. This is very, very cool. It gives some really great options for giants in your games for GMs, but it gives some player options too. Like, what if you want to play a giant? Or come from a giant heritage, or have some player options that bring giants into your world. Oh boy, this is the PDF for you. And I want to think it's a very low price. It's like $2 or $3. So go check it out. Go run over to the Kobold Press website. Give it a go, especially if you've got giants in your games. This is the PDF for you. Whew! Okay. I'm done. Those are all the announcements this week. Y'all know how much... thanks! Thanks, Kendrick. I appreciate that. Thanks. This is very sweet. All right. Now let's get into the fun stuff, which is it's time to learn a little bit about you. Oh, yes. This is where we put you on the spot. Yes, everybody come over. Zach has sent you to say hi. If you missed the first part, we did some announcement, but more importantly, we announced our new media production manager, Kendo, here is going to be joining the Kobolds full-time here on both our Twitch, our YouTube, and our TikTok. It's going to be a face you come to know and love. So memorize it, put it in your brain, say hi, get to know him, which is actually what we're doing today. So I think actually, it's nice to start off with the core question, the big question, which is where did D&D enter your life? Like when did, maybe not D&D, tabletop. When did tabletop enter Kendo's life?
Well, it was D&D.
Okay.
It was D&D, yeah. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons a decade ago at this point.
Okay.
My junior year in high school, what would that have been? 2013. I had a friend who actually I had no friends who played. I had friends who knew about the game. And they introduced it to me like, oh, like it's a role-playing game, yada yada yada. I had like no real conception of what it was. But then I watched one of like the Acquisitions Incorporated live games with Chris Perkins and all of them. And then there was also like a D&D like Adult Swim or like Robot Chicken
reference or something,
where they played it, and I was like, this game seems cool. And then I taught myself how to play Dungeons and Dragons so I could teach all my friends how to play Dungeons and Dragons. I taught myself D&D 4th edition because that's what was out at the time. I remember when I first started to try to teach myself, I looked up a character sheet, tried to download it, and it was a D&D 3.5 character sheet.
Oh no, confusion!
And I was using the 4th edition. I was like, what's going on here? What is this?
Oh, what's cute.
Happening? But then eventually I did it, and I've been going a decade. Hey, okay, poor me. No, I will defend 4th edition every single day of my life. 4th edition is my edition of Dungeons.
It's getting hot over here on the channel already.
I'm already here, and I'm here to draw some lines. 4th edition is a fine system. It works. It does what it's
well, we're kobolds. We love all editions, everybody. Exactly. We've been through every phase of the editions.
Exactly.
Well, that's great. And now, you know what? We have our own edition.
We have our own edition.
Technically, with
Maybe
TOV.
It's a little better. Who knows?
Hair flip on that one. Okay. Well, I'm glad to know that you found D&D all those years ago because it led you to us all these many years later. So
exactly.
I feel like a very lucky little kobold. Yeah, hair and beard flip. That's right. Everybody flip something. Let's go. Let's go. And you can flip it valiantly, if I do say so myself.
Ooh.
A valiant flip. Okay, so you got started. You sound a little like me. Like I wanted to play and nobody played, but everybody kind of knew, so I forced all my friends to learn. Which means exactly. I'm guessing you have like the forever GM problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been up until like I want to say the past year. I've primarily been a GM more than I've been anything else. Yep. Which, is fine. I'm good at what I do. People love playing at my there are people in the chat now that have been at some of my tables, and I hope they enjoyed the experience. I'm a forever GM, and I'm proud. I'm proud of that.
Hey, you know what? I'm pretty proud too. I do like to play, but I've found that actually I play less D&D than I play other systems. Like when it comes to D&D, I'm a forever GM. Here we are. This is how it happens. Exactly. Okay, cool. Well, okay, now I want to know if you were going to get to play.
Okay.
Like, let's say I was like, you are not allowed to GM, Kendo. No more GMing from you. You have to play.
I'd cry, but I would eventually accept and go, okay, I'll play.
Okay, you're not allowed to play for a little while, Kendo.
Okay.
And you're going to have to pick a character and join this campaign. Mm-hmm. What might you play? Do you have a favorite class? Do you have a favorite build?
My go-to class right now is Bard. I'm a Bard main. I'm a storyteller at heart, so I love playing characters who are also storytellers. I'm also, more so than in real life, I am very talkative in I'm way more extroverted as a player than I am
Sure.
normally. And so it's very easy for me to just sit in and be like, oh, I'll be the face. I'll be the person talking. I'll get our deals. I'll do all of that. Bards, great. Bards and rogues. Those are my two right
Bards
there.
and rogues. Okay. Okay.
Bards and
Rogues are in my top 3. But they're not, it's not, rogues are top 3, but not the best. I'm druid. Don't nobody tell Wolfgang, but I'm definitely a druid monk baby.
Druids far down on my list.
Really? Okay,
sorry.
well, at least we know that we're never going to cross over in a campaign. Like, if we get to play together, it'll be perfect. We don't even have to worry about choosing the same class, because Bard is actually one of the classes I probably play the least. And we have recently, behind closed doors, we thought, well, we're the staff of Kobold Press. Maybe we should actually find some time to play Tales of the Valiant. Who would have thought? So we've been sitting down for staff game days. We can actually thank Zach, our community manager, for this, for, of course, bringing our internal community together. And he's been running games for some of the staff, and we've been having a blast. We actually ran through Sea of Bones, which was our adventure at Gen Con, and I decided to challenge myself to play a bard. Okay. Just need you to know this, okay? So I challenged myself. I was like, we're not gonna lean into druid. Let's take one of the classes that's out, that's in playtest. I'm gonna bard it up. And I have to say, the changes that have been made in TOV to the bard are pretty stupendous.
Okay.
I did some wild and crazy things. And I didn't build a wild and crazy bard, okay? His name was
just
William.
A normal bard.
Yeah, his name was William Shakespeare. He's just a poet, lyricist, average failing artist, and he needs to write the next great adventure play, and what better way to do it than go on an adventure? So this poet got roped into an adventure. Old Billiam did. And Billiam decided he was going to write whatever happens on this adventure into a play. It was great. But there was nothing really, he wasn't a crazy build for a bard. He was very basic. But y'all, some of the ways that we have built bards in TOV to, stack. So their turns now, build in certain ways where you can use certain aspects of spells or your free actions to make things more powerful each time. Being able to, not have to cast a bardic inspiration every time. Once you start a bardic... what was it called? Oh, I'm not going to remember. Celeste is going to hate me. It's called a bardic performance. I think, once you start it, each turn, you can give a bardic inspiration dice for free, because you're in the middle of a performance. There's no need to, and so there's these really cool things that make your bard feel less, not less like a magic user, but less like a music wizard, and more like a performer. There's a piece of performance that's actually necessary to get the most out of your character, and I had the best time.
Well,
I also cast. What did I cast? Thunderclap. I think I cast Thunderclap with a pelvic thrust as well. I did. I definitely did. Y'all, it was I really feel bad for Zach in certain ways, but I was like, let's give the bard all we got. Look, he was in the middle of a performance. He had built up all this kinetic energy with his hips. What other way are you gonna let out that resounding finishing stance without a good pelvic thrust and thunderclap?
That's so good.
Come on, okay? So, I'm sorry if you ever have to or ever see any part of that, Kendo, because I might have completely broken the bardly way.
No. It sounds like you were doing exactly what you were supposed to be doing as a bard. You didn't break any.
I'm telling y'all, I had the best time playing bard simply because of a lot of the new changes. It was really wonderful. I had a great time. Though I imagine some of the kobolds on staff in chat may disagree. They may feel otherwise about the other side of that table, but I had a great time. So I say that because I'm glad to hear you're the bard of the group. It seems like you are aptly placed then in your position here at Kobold Press, being the bard of YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. But no, I want to know, as a creative and as a forever GM, we're always sitting on ideas, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, wake up in the middle of the night, I've got an idea for a campaign and nobody to play it. Like, this is the bane of GM life. What seedy little amazing idea are you currently sitting on? Because I know you got one.
What
Can you share with us
idea?
without giving too much away?
Okay. For the actual play podcast that I run, we have had an idea for a season that we want to do where we want to play roaming mercenary god killers.
Oh!
In a setting that I wrote like a while ago, where
Blasphemy.
collective consciousness births new gods on accident, like not like on purpose.
Right. I
And
mean, that's
so in
kind of
this,
one of the theories of God creation, right? Is when enough people believe
exactly,
something, a God is created.
exactly. So it's in a world where when enough people are aligned on a certain concept or a certain idea, whether that be like that could be like companionship, that can be
Ah.
like ingenuity, that can be anything along the lines of like this is a thing that we need in our life or something that people are focusing on. And if enough people do that, and it doesn't need to be it can be a village worth of people or even a family's worth of people who are aligned in this thing so far that it will birth a new god.
Wow.
um in a country where gods used to be like the rulers and leaders of it, and since the people have gone, hey, we don't think you're very good at that actually, and made godhood illegal, and
Oh.
ousted all of the gods, ousted or killed all of the gods. There are now mercenaries of people who go around and uh who are hired to like, hey, we think there's a god around because things have started getting really weird. Can you go handle that for us?
See, now I'm
And so, yeah.
imagining this is why you can't take me anywhere. Now I'm thinking like, what is a modern day version of that? Like Tinder, the Tinder God. Everybody uses
No,
it.
it could be. It
Right,
could be. It genuinely could
The
be.
Tinder god rises,
A
and you
matchmaking
send out
god who's
a
around.
matchmaking god who's just causing chaos because none of the dates are good, no matter what, because it's all lies, it's all facade, and you're sent out
Mhm.
as a bunch of adventurers to kill the Tinder god and swipe left.
Yeah.
Swipe
There you
left
go.
on his existence.
That's the final blow. Someone swiping left. Andrew,
Oh
I have
wow.
not played Genshin actually, but I have a lot of friends who do, and I will ask them about that because
Look, we're
that.
getting so many welcomes in chat. Thanks everybody for
Well,
all the
thank you,
love.
everyone. Genuinely,
Um Wow, yeah, that's actually a very cool idea.
so
I'm
it's my
kind of
idea.
in love with that. Now, I'm not gonna miss this. I know you kind of just like slipped it in there, but we're
Uh-huh.
gonna go back. You
Okay,
have a podcast,
I
right?
I
Do you want to
do
tell
have a
everybody about your
podcast.
podcast? What are you when
Yeah.
you're not a kobold and you're not gonna be in the Warrens? What are you
Mhm.
doing?
So I am the host and GM of I if I don't say this, people will get mad at me. The award-winning actual play podcast, Tales Yet Told. It is a queer-led actual play podcast where we do an anthology series. Essentially, each season is its own kind of thing, or will be like the start of its own thing, and then we can follow it up in seasons. But we play new characters and new settings with new systems. We tend to focus on indie RPGs, and by that we just mean not Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder
Sure,
or something
yeah.
like that. Our first season, we played Babes in the Wood by
Mmm.
Adam Voss, which is an over the garden wall spooky horror game where our season is a mixture of like pastoral folk horror and 80s sci-fi action horror. So it's a bit of The Matrix and Alien
Yeah.
with like childhood coming of age stories. It's dark, it's horrifying. I fill people with spiders. I turn people into animals, and it's a good time. I love it. It's a lot of fun, and other people have liked it.
I love
So
that. I love that too.
yeah. And our second season is a pirate
Nice. I'm a bit of
fantasy.
a horror person myself, so.
Oh yeah, I horror is
Oh no,
like
am I lagging?
you're lagging a little bit. Are you back?
You keep
Oh,
talking then.
oh okay, okay. Sounds good. Oh no, I think you caught up actually, so I think we're good.
Oh, did I
our
check 1 2?
yeah, you're perfect.
No. Okay,
Second
great.
season is a pirate fantasy adventure game. We're playing Rapscallion, which is by Whistler. I think it's currently in its like quick start phase with Magpie. It's a fun pirate game. I Speaking of castles and crowns, I love politics, and so it's like a pirate political horror fantasy. I slip horror into everything that I do on accident. I don't try to. It just like I start describing a thing, and then halfway through, I'm like, that's
Oops.
spooky. Oh no, the way that I described this worm going into this person's ears, it's kind of horrifying, actually. In like stuff like that. But if you like pirates, you like weird magic, and fighting the navy. Whispers in the Sea is our second season, and those are the 2 seasons we have right now. So
All
that
right.
that I have a lot of fun doing it. My players have a lot of fun playing it, and hopefully we keep doing it for a long time.
Yeah, sounds like such a
Oh
terrible
no!
problem. Oh no, look, more horror. Over there, more horror.
Oh no! Yeah,
Love
no,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, we did have a question come through from Andrew, and I've
Ooh.
never heard of this, but it seems like with your inspiration from your other game you were talking about, this
Mm-hmm.
might be up your alley. Where was it? Def asked about Genshin.
Yes, Genshin Impact. I haven't played my. Have I? I've downloaded Genshin. I haven't
Okay.
played Genshin. I have a lot of friends who play Genshin. But the collective consciousness, I like. It's such a fun idea because I think Warhammer also does this, where the orcs.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why any of the orc stuff works is because all of the orcs believe that their things work.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and I don't know. I find it such a fascinating concept as far as like fantasy and like sci-fi in general of like the power of collective will and imagination
Yep.
creating things is like it's so cool, and I love playing with stuff like that.
I think it's actually it's that's one of the things that you see a lot in old World of Darkness for changeling, right? That's the whole idea is that
Hmm.
changeling are
Hmm.
born out of dreams.
Yeah,
Right? They're these creatures, these fae that are born out of dreaming. And it's such a crazy, weird concept, but so beautiful and almost
it's
off-putting in a way.
right.
Yeah.
It's there's something about these little brains we've got. Something about whatever's going on in there. There's
Just
just
all
so
up and
much
in here. Yeah.
so much good juice in there to just squeeze out and go, ooh, what does it mean to dream something into existence,
Right,
or
or to
to
have a shared consciousness.
exactly, like, what
Yeah.
does it mean when all of these people get together, are aligned in the same goal, aligned in the same kind of philosophy, and for some reason that brings something into existence or makes something work, I think is uh, Small Gods by Terry Pratchett.
Yes,
Yes,
Small Gods is a
it's
great one. Yep.
hmm
Yep, that's a good one. And this idea, like, I mean, the idea of communal belief is really so. I too love horror, but I find there are two kinds of horror I like. I like sci-fi horror, and the rest of the horror I like is what I call like real world horror. So cults,
hmm
serial killers. Right, I'm that person.
Yeah.
So I've become obsessed with cults. I'm not planning on starting one though. You all know you
Good.
join it, okay? I've become obsessed with what actually makes a cult leader. And there's this great
Hmm.
documentary that talks about like what are the kind of staples that make a cult leader. And one of the things they talk about is the aspect of communal belief. All it takes is like 1, 2, 3, 4 people to actually believe that this person is who they say they are to turn an entire community of people into cultists.
Yeah.
Like
Because yeah,
it's mind-boggling.
because it's the power of belief
Uh
and
huh.
faith in anything is just so genuinely powerful in the way that it motivates action.
Yeah.
It's such a it's such a fascinating thing to both explore like academically, but also just like to explore like in play and like figuring out all the different ways in which village like people in a small village like coming together and like
Mm-hmm.
creating like family gods, village gods,
Yeah.
coming together to create, just belief in general and like an action that they want to take
Yep.
or actions that should be taken, and how that like so much power just comes from that in just the belief in it
In just the
is
belief alone. And that
yeah.
honestly, that's how like lore it grows into a fairy tale and into these horrific monsters that stay
Hmm.
with us through centuries of people, right? Like,
Hmm.
it just like, yes, all right, everybody in chat, all hail the dot. You right.
All hail the dot.
All hail the dot. We'll all be dots. There will be very few like requirements, I promise, other than like 1 cup of coffee in the morning, bright lipstick, good
That's not bad.
glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's easy. I can do all that.
Okay, so I've heard you say it a lot, and just listening to you talk, I can tell there is an interest there, and you said it earlier before, which is storytelling. When did you get started in storytelling? Like, obviously, we know D&D came into your life a little bit later, but I have a feeling storytelling's been there a little bit longer.
I have been a storyteller I for almost as long as I remember, because I mean storytelling in general is like we all do it, right? From little anecdotes to like jokes and like all of that is just storytelling, right? And I have been making characters and worlds and stuff since like elementary school. I feel me and my friends in elementary school had things that we called clubs, and what that
Yeah,
really just was us coming up with an idea of like, oh, let's make a world where we're all gods, and then we just write what gods we are, and then we play those gods during.
right.
I was larping in elementary school, not
LARPing
knowing
and
what
recess,
larping
right? Yeah.
was. Exactly. um and stuff like that. I have vague memories of, again, I didn't know what fan fiction was. I
Right.
was in kindergarten writing Saint Seiya fan fiction or Knights of the Zodiac, whichever of those names you're more familiar with.
Yep.
I don't know what I was writing. I don't know what I was thinking in kindergarten. All I knew is, oh, there's these cool people in armor fighting. I want to write
I want
stuff.
to write about that. Yeah.
And it's the only piece of fan fiction I've ever written. I have no idea what it was about. It's lost to time and history. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like I've always been part of a storyteller. I feel like it's one of the few things I'm genuinely very good at. Because I love stories and I love the act of finding new ways to tell them,
Yeah.
and the way that people engage with stories, and like what comes through on like on a personal level, and on a communal like societal level through the stories that we tell each other, and like the stories that we choose to tell each other, because that says something about us, the time and place in which we live, and also like how those stories get changed and passed on over time, and like seeing the evolution of stories and why stories change in certain ways depending on I could go on. I love storytelling is a huge passion of mine.
Hey, me too. You know what?
And
Hey,
yeah,
we've got exactly 15 minutes. So you're welcome to keep going.
yeah, I mean no, this, that's fair. Yeah, stories are cool. Stories are
Yeah, stories
cool,
are cool.
and I
As a
love tabletop
storyteller
games
myself,
as
I
a
get it.
medium. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun, and one of the big reasons why I love tabletops is that it makes the act of telling stories more communal, because you're not just
Yes.
telling it with yourself, you're telling it with other people and their
Yep.
perspectives and their life experience and their desires and their wants and their feelings on things get mixed in with each other, and that just makes stories better, in my opinion. It makes them more colorful, it makes them more empathetic to the human condition. It makes it We learn more through stories when other people are telling them with us, when it's not just
Absolutely.
one perspective doing it.
I left acting a long time ago because it wasn't fulfilling me. Like the whole theater,
Mhm.
film, TV, I just was like, it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to find my way and realize that tabletop is just another form of communal storytelling, which is what I was really looking for. And as I've like grown into it, one of the things I tell people that I love the most about it, and I think what in the end really drew me to it, and I didn't know at the beginning, was with a lot of our commercialized entertainment, we're actually telling other people's stories, right? The person that writes the scripts, their perspective, their thing, they're developing the characters, and we really just show up as an actor, and like I'm not the painter, I'm the paint.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm the yellow paint, and somebody else selects the yellow paint they want to use on the canvas. And that's not really what I was looking for. And one of the unique things that I think is so beautiful about tabletop is we have gotten rid of this aspect of there are certain people that are allowed to tell stories. Tabletop allows everybody to tell stories because everybody has stories to tell. And when we rip out the entertainment piece from it and we get back down to the actual communal piece, all the way back, we're talking centuries and centuries of people just sitting around a fire, sharing stories before there was, clothes even, you know what I mean? Like people were still like living in caves. We sat around fires and we told communal stories, and there's this aspect of communal storytelling that is captured in tabletop that's really just not captured anywhere else. People can tell you films are collaborative. Yeah, there's a lot of people that make them. Theater is collaborative and communal. To a certain degree, it is. But the way that tabletop is, nobody comes to the table with a pre-existing idea of what story is being told. Instead, it's part of the discovery of what story we tell together. And I think that is just something that's wholly unique to this industry. And is why it has grown into its own kind of form of entertainment. Why so many people love watching actual plays. All right, I'm going to tell y'all something. So I come from a family that doesn't know squat about games, okay? My parents certainly do not. They're so disconnected that they might not even in the 80s have heard of D&D, okay? We're talking like small town Georgia, not the thing. My dad's a military man, Navy for 20 plus years, retired, engineer, nuclear. Okay, this is my dad. So I'm sitting out visiting my father the other day, because now I live an itinerant life, and I was visiting, and we were by the pool. And here's my dad, a nuclear engineer, who goes, I was watching something on the news the other day, and they brought up that thing Dungeons and Dragons that you talk about all the time, and some platform called Twitch, where everybody's playing games together and telling stories. Y'all, these words are coming out of my father's mouth. I'm having a full-on conniption sitting. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what Twilight Zone am I in? My father is using these words in a sentence. And he goes, when I all got done, I was like, that's pretty cool. My father said, that's pretty cool. Which tells you that somebody that is so deeply disconnected, like doesn't see blockbuster movies, does not care about the entertainment industry, like still watches John Wayne Westerns because that's the movie he wants to watch. Like he doesn't care, doesn't watch Marvel movies, is not connected to popular culture, has heard from the news about Dungeons and Dragons and collaborative storytelling. And for the first time in my entire existence, I felt seen. He was like, I actually might understand what you do. And he said it was cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like, throw down, you want to talk about a hair flip moment? I was like, oh yeah, I'm becoming the cool kid again. So anyways, I'm glad to say, actually, that I think you are not the only person you're going to find here at Kobold Press, or particularly in the industry, that are big-time storytellers. Yeah. This is why we do what we do, right? That's who's at the Warrens, are a bunch of people, a bunch of nerds who love stories, who love making the things so that you can go out and make your stories. So I'm just really glad to have you here, Kendo, because I think it's going to be, it's a good fit. I barely have the word. I pride myself on being able to know words and being able to use them. I have a hard time finding the words to truly explain just how excited I am to be here with you and everyone here. Well, now you get every Wednesday to tell everybody about
every Wednesday. I can tell you right here, right now. You all
are going to have to learn about it. Well, we do actually have a question from chat, and Angie's kicked us off, and so I'm going to actually open up to the audience. We're here in our last about 10 or 12 minutes, everybody, so if you got questions for Kendo, now's your time. But we're going to kick off with Andrew's question, because I think it's a good one, which is, what is the biggest difficulty you have had getting into GMing? I feel like we all grow as GMs, so I guess what was the biggest thing you had to work on?
Whew. I think one of the biggest things that I had to work on, and the thing that I'm still having to work on, is pacing. Especially because d- people's lives so busy.
Yes.
Scheduling the big bad of every session, of every table, and trying to make sure that we are getting through the things that we want to get through, especially when it comes to like actual plays and production. Even that, like that is especially a bit more on a time crunch than like your home
Yeah.
game. And one of the biggest things about that like one of the biggest things that I have a hard time is when to tell a player, okay, we are done with this scene and it's time to move on to the next one. Because I love letting my players do their thing. My favorite thing as a GM is setting up the scene, my players just going for it and having their conversations and having a good time. And I'm like, I love seeing the interactions when players are talking about their plans or like talking about what has just happened, especially the deep drama of like characters who don't agree with each other having to finally face that. I love that. I also, especially when it comes to actual play, have to get better at being like, I think it's time we cut from this scene and
And
move on to
scene.
the next one. And scene, we need to move on to the next one. Because like there's it I've done improv for like years now, and one of the biggest things that I had to learn in that is when you're on the sideline, being able to look at a scene that's going on and go, okay, we've
It
hit
needs to
the high
cut.
point here, we need to cut, we need to move on. And it's easier for me to do that on stage than it is to do it a lot of the times on a voice call, when I can't get body language or people can't get my body language of like, okay, we've gotten to that point, we need to move on. And it's a super useful skill both for actual plays but also for home games, right?
Yeah.
Because again, people are there to play the game and you're trying to get through a certain amount of stuff. I have a friend who's currently in a game where they've been in the same combat for 7 sessions. No, no,
Yeah,
no. What are
not
you
for me. No,
doing?
thank you.
And it's like a big like war scene, so it's not just like a regular
Oh,
combat. But
okay,
even
but
still,
I
7 sessions is a
seven.
lot of sessions
Yeah, no.
to be doing the same thing. So pacing, and it's like, how do you work on it? Sometimes you just need to look the gut instinct of like when you're like, okay, I feel like this is going on long enough. Sometimes you got to follow that gut
Yeah,
instinct, and
you
as the
do.
GM, you have to. And of course, this is a conversation that you have with your players of being like, hey, as a facilitator ahead of time, there are going to be times where I'm going to have to do some pacing here
Yeah.
for it, and so find a signal, find a way to insert yourself, and find a good time to be able to be like, I think that's a good place for us to cut and move on to this other group. Because there are other people at the table who are also wanting to play. And if a scene has only half or less than half of the amount of people, as the GM, you're going to have to find the confidence to just be able to say, okay,
Yep.
we need to move on from this. The thing you did was good, and I do not want to stop the good thing, but I want other good things to continue to happen as well.
I also, I always tell people like look to the GMs that you look up to and see how they move in and out of scenes. Like obviously our big guys Matt and Brennan have fantastic ways that they do this, but there are also not famous GMs that also do this on other Twitch channels and have really great ways where it's like well, this conversation continues in the background, right? If you end up with, I always tell people, if you end up with two players that are having a heated discussion, when we get to the crux of the debate, when we understand one side and we understand the other and they've both put it out there, if there is no sight of resolution in the end, it's time to cut the scene. Like, sometimes the debate is just going to stay open. You can't expect that they're going to find middle ground because your players may never find middle ground. So use a lot of the things that film use. That's what I do. Fade to black, cut scene, or maybe if it is just two players, we cut back in time and find out what the other three have been doing while the two of you have been playing debate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are ways to get around it and to cue your players without making them feel like they've done wrong by talking too long, because that's not really why you're cutting them off. You're not cutting them off because they're doing a bad job. You're cutting them off because time is limited, right?
Exactly,
So
exactly.
that's a really great thing to have to learn as a GM, and definitely not an easy one.
It's not. It takes time and it takes practice. You're gonna mess up. You might cut something a little too short. You might wait a little too long to cut something. It's all practice, and also talking with your players about how they felt about
Yep.
how that goes. It's a great reason why Stars and Wishes exist, where you can, after a session, you're decompressing. You're like, hey, how did you feel about this? Was this thing that felt
Yep.
good in the moment? Did you feel like I undercut you in any way, or did you feel like how did you feel about the conversation? Did you
Right.
feel like it went, like having those conversations?
Do you wish it had gone on longer or shorter? You know,
exactly. Like having the communication is so key between it and anything in your life, but especially at a table when you're making a story together, because everybody's got to be on the same page, or at least similar pages,
Yep.
as far as how things are going. And there's nothing wrong with having the conversation and asking, did this feel good, to make sure that you're doing the thing that everybody's comfortable with and makes the game feel better for them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, here in our last couple minutes, I think we've had probably the most important question come through of the day.
Oh,
we are entering soup season. If you were a soup, which soup would you be and why?
What soup would I be?
Yeah, if we were to eat a Kendo soup, what would it be?
I'm gonna say a loaded baked potato.
Oh,
right?
That's my favorite.
Right. It's like you get the. I should warn, one of the biggest things that I do as both a GM and in general, I describe how food tastes.
Oh, I love it.
So that's going to happen a lot, and people generally get upset with me. So letting you know now, if you haven't eaten, you're probably going to want to eat. But just the cream, the way that it coats the tongue,
those crispy bacon crunchies on top.
Crispy bacon bits, you get the texture, and then like when the potatoes are at that right texture where it's got the right amount of chew to the point where it basically becoms cream and mixes in with the rest of the soup, and it's just like
it's so soft and hot.
You get a little cheese on there, and it's just like the extra. It's so good.
If you're really feeling saucy, maybe some chives on the top.
Exactly, and it's just like it's filling. It's like both filling for like the stomach, but also for the soul. I feel like that's the great thing about soups in general. It's just like the way that it can just kind of completely warm you in a way that is just.
Yeah, good soup. I tell people that you have more than one body, right? Like you have your physical body, you have your heart body, your mind body, your soul body. Soup warms more than one body.
It does. It just feels good.
It just feels good.
And a good loaded baked potato soup just.
Absolutely. Potato leek soup, Angie, one of my favorites. A good potato leek soup. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay, well, now that we've left all of you starving,
I need to go eat.
I was about to say, we're going to wrap up so you can all go fill your bellies. I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to digitally, pass the torch off. No, I got to go this way. Pass the torch off to there you go. To Kendo, as he takes over the channel next week. You'll see Kendo here kicking off Kobold Chats all by himself. Actually, he may have a guest, but, hosting all by himself. And we'll be... we'll be back. Same Kobold time, same Kobold channel, right here for Kobold Chats. Kendo, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you online so they can go follow you and start catching up on your socials before next week?
Yeah, so you can find me everywhere on the internet that matters at Kendo Makes Films. That's where Twitter. It's Twitter. It's Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, all of that good stuff. You can find me at Kendo Makes Films. If you care about the actual play channel, you can find it at Tales Yet Told. Also everywhere that, and you can listen to it wherever you get your podcast.
That's right. So you all have homework for this week. Go follow Kendo. Go follow his podcast, Tales Yet Told, and we'll be back here next week on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Same Kobold time, same Kobold channel for another Kobold Chats. Thanks everybody for joining us, and don't forget you have like 2 hours left to go back. Campaign Builder, Castles and Crowns. I'm gonna drop it one more time in chat for you before we go. Oh no, I can't spell Kickstarter. There we go. One more time. I did spell it right, yeah? Oh, somebody else dropped it. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah,
Zach already did it. Zach's like 10 steps ahead of me. This is why he's on my team. Thanks, Zach. Everybody go check that link. 2 hours left, and we will see you next week. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Oops, wait, I gotta hit the thing. Here we go. Bye, friends.